Hello everyone, Yasin here, and today we're going to talk about GGD Modern and Massive 2. Since you heard the demo, now I'm gonna open up the project and we're gonna do a nice walkthrough, all the features of this new drum library, and after that I'm gonna let you to hear all the drums in isolation without any processing. Guys, almost 90% of the people who are watching this video are not subscribed. Please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I have a lot of cool videos for you. After this video you can check them out. If you're subscribed, we can continue. Now, I have the project in front of me. I disabled all the plugins that are affecting drums, which is the parallel compression, instrument mix and master bus. But also, there are a couple of things in the drum bus. They're not massive, but we're gonna talk about them while I'm giving you the isolated drums versus whatever I had in the demo, which you already heard before. Let's start by checking Modern and Massive. I just opened that up, and by the look of it, it's amazing because now there's no contact, it's completely standalone. And while loading, you have the stereo option or multi-output option, which has 16 stereo outputs, and you can do the routing from there, which is how I've done it. We can talk about that later, but you don't have to do it, and we'll come to that in a second as well. In here we have a lot of kit pieces. Let me actually talk about this view, and we're gonna talk about the other ones in a second. This is what I have in the demo. And if you realized, there's a small bar here, and whenever I click the one of the kit pieces, sorry, for example the snare, it immediately changes, because when you click to it, you will see all the other possibilities, which is 9 snare, 8 kicks, 4 tom sets, and for the crashes, I think we had 3. And I will give you a very brief hearing test, a very brief sampling for you. I'm just gonna shut up and click one by one, and you're gonna hear all of them briefly. You can just skip to this part if you're not interested, but I think it's gonna give you a very brief summary. Yeah. This is for snare. This is for kick. This is the ragtone 1. That was ragtone 2. I forgot to say. This is the floor tone 1. And that was floor tom 2. Now let's continue with the hi-hat. That's crash far left, crash left, splash, right, now crash right, okay, they're different, I just want to check. This one is China. And with that, now you heard all the pieces in the kit, and it's a really good thing to have this quick access so I can show it to you. Let's continue with, actually, let me click snare because there's one more opportunity here. Let me show it to you. It's called one shot, and you can actually choose these samples: Dreamboat, Bronzer, Cranky, Snapper, Doofus, and so on, and you can actually blend them here, which is actually a very, very cool thing. And when you choose them, like this one, you will hear the individual sample. You can change the gain, and you can change the pitch and length, and after that you can do the blending to your taste. It is great. I'm gonna bring them back. And yeah, of course, you can also hear the blend from here. Let me show you once again. And you can do literally the blending here, which is really, really useful. So probably my augmentation track will be boop, completely gone. So the next one is envelope. And there's also an advanced mode. If you click here, you will see all of them. You can change the attack and decay and hold. And this is probably the least clicked area for me, because I don't remember I changed it for snare, but maybe I could do it for toms, which is something I always do. So envelope section is really, really good. For attributes, we have a really, really good new feature, which is Humanize. Let's start with that. When you click to the kit pieces and change the attribute, you can change the humanization individually, which will be either velocity humanization or time humanization. Time humanization has this time frame, so you can rush or drag maybe, and the window will increase depending on the percentage you are setting here. Same goes for velocity, but of course not for timing, but how hard you're hitting it. And it is really cool. For this demo, I didn't do any humanization on the MIDI programming that I have. There's some sort of humanization since I got the cymbal parts from the pack, but the rest is completely unchanged. So the humanization you're hearing, especially on the kick, tom, and snare in the demo, is completely coming from here. And if you want, instead of setting them individually, you can just click here for global, and it's gonna set the exact same velocity and time humanization for all of them, which I wouldn't do, because for toms, maybe that's okay. For kick and snare, I would like to have some sort of smaller velocity and time, and I would like to control through the programming. But regardless, this feature is amazing. It works really, really cool, and having either global or kit piece based humanization is actually a time saver. Same goes for pitch. You can either make it global or just for that particular kit piece. If you want to change that, you can also change that. That's possible. For velocity curve, you can also do it either global or velocity curve. If I remember, the contact-based plugins had that on the settings, but this one has only here. which is again really time saver, because constantly going back and forth in the settings, it doesn't make too much sense. For this one, you can have everything in this window and you can control so much, which I really liked. So let's close attributes, and the next one and the last one here in this tab is the levels. You can change where you're routing, and at the same time you can hear individually every single part. For example, snare top, snare bottom, overhead, room mono, and so on. And you can of course change and set them and create your drum mix here. Let's close this one, and we're gonna see the next biggest feature, which is amazing, mixer. Now we have a fully customizable setup. You can create your drum mix without relying on the plugins that you already have, maybe, or the contact plugins. Instead of that, you can do all the processing here. You can have your send bus channels, you can have your individual channels, you can create buses, you can create multiple sources. It's doing anything you are thinking of, I bet. And the processing that you can do, if I click here, is EQ, modern compression, vintage compression, transient, limiter, drive, and reverb, which is more than enough. And if I click transient, we have a simple UI and it's doing the job really well. This is for the transient. Actually, let me add it here so we will check whatever options we have. For modern compression, you can have the high pass filter, you can set the attack, release, ratio, anything you would probably expect from a compressor. And you can do the same, you can have the same thing for the vintage compression. And instead of setting levels, we have fast, medium, and slow here. For the transient, we already saw that, attack and sustain and mix. For the EQ, you can create a lot of bands. Actually, I'm going to show you one of the crazy ones. I think this one, yeah, for example. This EQ is actually pretty cool. I remember while doing my drum mixes constantly adding these Pro Q instances, and doing all the moves there is not helping for me because I have to create this logic settings, and after that I load them on another project, and now I can just have my own preset which has a drum mix. Everything is completely customized by me, and for my sound it is much better. So let's continue. We have the limiter here, which is of course a simple UI. For the drive, you have the tape, soft, and hard mode, and of course you can change the mix and drive levels here. And finally, reverb, plate, hall, or room reverb, and you can change the pre-delay, decay, and mix. And of course you can do a high pass and low pass of the resulted sound. I'm going to remove this one, and this thing had a complete drum mix. It derived from one of the presets. I will come to that in a second. And I not removed but disabled basically the master bus, because I actually have external tracks for these guys. I'm going to talk about the processing I made here. It's going to come a little bit later in the video. Let me go to the rightmost area, and it says create new channel, either bus or multi-source. So if you choose bus, it means that you're sending, or you're having a bus for your kicks or your snares and so on. And you can use that. Reverb is a good example. It's a send channel. And I'm going to remove this one, and instead I'm going to add a multi-source. So when you have a multi-source, you have this icon, and when you click it, you have this edit inputs. And when you click to that one, you have overhead, room mono, room close, and room far special outputs for your kit pieces, and you can do a customized processing here, and it is pretty cool because imagine for kick and snare and toms you used the close mic and you used all the cymbals on a far mic, and maybe you added some overhead stuff as well depending on your choice, and after that you did a different processing, maybe different amount of compression for the cymbals and different amount of compression for the other pieces. It's completely up to you, of course, the processing. I'm just trying to give an example here, and it is a pretty cool way of customizing your drum mix to yourself. Which leads me to the preset area. When I click this one, you're gonna see some utility presets, which is kind of starting point, I should say. Factory presets, I want to believe that all these are made by Nolly. And we have artist presets now. If you check this area, we have Adam Noble, Buster Otterholm, Chris Clancy. So many good people made their own drum mixes for you, and they shared with us and the GGD team. So I used one of them as a starting point. I just checked like crazy wild person. I just click each one of them, and I just used one of the grooves, and I decided on explosive and heavy, and I just put my name there and changed the kit pieces and processing a little bit. And it is really cool. There's so many options that you can choose here. It's amazing. Let me close this one because there's not much to talk about, I believe. And the next area is mapping. And if I click to manage map configs, by the way, I'm using P5 here because I always use P5 so far. I think it's going to change pretty soon. And because of that, I was kind of like, I don't want to change how I write drums at the moment. So I just go back to P5. We also have now third-party software configs area where you can find Steinberg, Exile Audio, Apple, Avid, Native Instruments, TuneTrack, all these presets and programming maps, MIDI programming maps. You also have that under your fingers, and you can change them whenever you want. For example, your friend sent you the Easy Drummer 3 output, and you need to put that into your session, and you're using your drums for it, and you're gonna come up with a drum mix or a complete mix. You can just change it here, and immediately, bam, you're done. You can just continue. And that media remap thing, it's pretty useful, but at the same time, if you have something like this, it's gonna be much easier for, I think, everyone. And we have the third-party hardware configs area, where you can use the maps of Medley, Millennium, Yamaha, Cat Percussion, Pearl. I don't know even some of them. And they are individual electronic drums libraries. I think they had their own mappings. Since I'm not a drummer, I don't know if this is a struggle or not. But I think it is, otherwise they wouldn't do it, right? And now you can choose all these products, their own, MIDI mappings, and you can easily convert your MIDI map. It was really easy to explain, but for some reason it took some time for me. And of course you can shift the map, and you have the CC settings. And the next part is grooves. I think we all know this one. So groove player now is just grooves, and we have 5 packs here. Nope, 6, sorry. We have the basic beats. Everything is, everything is ready for you to use. And after you choose it, you can drag here, just click here, and after that drag into your project and do the changes depending how you like it. And this is the basic piece. We have the cymbal patterns. I think it's really cool to have the cymbal patterns area. as a pack, because if you're someone like me, just putting a very basic drum beat, do the recording once again, and come back and change the drums, it's really easy. Just put the put the cymbal pattern after that, since every riff has to have different kick, different snare pattern. You just, depending on your idea, implement that and do the recording and come back. It's pretty easy and it's pretty cool. For example, and so on. And after that we have funk pack, metal pack, pop pack, and rock pack. If I'm not mistaken, all of them have individual 15 song structured grooves. So you can either sort by section, verses for example, or by song, and you can choose these alternatives and create your songs from this. And you can also filter the signatures if it's 4/4, 6/4, and so on. I think there are only those options, right? Let me check. Yes, 4/4 and 6/4. And you can do it depending on your genre. So this area is also pretty cool. It's much bigger and detailed than the previous versions of GGD products, which is One Hit Wonder, P5, and so on. And I really like that. And when you play it, you can change the speed. You can just make it a loop or not if you're just trying to hear it. We talked about all the features. Now I'm going to let you hear the whole song. Of course, only drums, isolated, without any processing. So you're gonna do your own judgment, how it sounds, what did I change. Of course, I will explain in a second what I added for the processing, and you're gonna hear that as well. I just opened the mixer section just to talk about one thing. Since I'm doing the routing and some external processing, I disabled this master bus area, so this is not working basically. So we have individual tracks, of course, for each bus. So it's kick and snare and toms and cymbal and room. And I also have reverb here, but I didn't do anything actually. And I actually didn't need too much to add. I just wanted to have my own drum bus processing because I got used to doing the Nolly tricks basically. And I have this individual virtual tape machines with slightly different settings. Some of them have different speed or machine type. And one fresh air instance on the kick bus. Oh, by the way, I created this individual bus which has only their own tracks because I had to sidechain from bass to kick for backing, and for rhythm guitars I am sidechaining it to the snare because I need to back the snare area with a very fast attack and release. For fresh air, it's 4% and 5% mid and high respectively. It's not a big deal. I really like that presence increase. It's all coming from Monuments in Stasis album. That was my reference. So after that, every single kick has to have that fresh air move, at least for me. And if you check all of my music, it's completely referenced to In Stasis. I mean, almost all of them. For drum bus, what we have here is SSL native bus compressor. I used the preset. I changed it, I think, a little bit, so it does a couple dBs of compression here. And we have virtual mix rack, which is completely referencing Nolly tracks. We have a distressor, which is doing a parallel compression for drums. It's 17%, and all the settings are completely taken from Nolly. Thanks, Nolly. And the EQ moves are again coming from Nolly. These two were actually in the mix bus, but like a couple of years ago, it's changed to drum bus. Again, thanks Nolly for mentioning that as well. And I put a trimmer. It's doing a minus 10.5 dB. It's completely about creating space for the mix and also the mastering process. It's nothing else. And this was completely the whole drum processing, since everything is done inside the box, which is an amazing thing. I didn't have to do much here. I relied on a preset and I added my own tweaks, which is how I work usually, and I think it sounds pretty cool. And I will continue, since these other areas are also affecting drums. I should talk about them. Parallel compression has, again, native bus compressor from SSL, and it has a fast attack and release, 20:1 ratio, a parallel compression thing basically. And after that, I didn't change the makeup here. Instead, I used the fader. And for instrument bus, we have the gray and red trick from Nolly, but this time I don't have to have this 4 dB compression trick. Instead, I just relied on my ears for that. Let me also enable this one. For mix bus, we have this mix bus punch preset, which I changed, I think, a little bit, at least a couple of them. After that, I'm using trusty Gullfoss for helping me to widen and also fix my mix. And after that, again, Virtual Tape Machine, some analoginess to the song. Gullfoss master version. Usually before that I do my own EQ, but I skipped that part. Just made a quick demo and relied on Gullfoss, just pushed it a little bit more, and it actually did the job for me. Next one is Ozone. This is Ozone 9, and I basically ran the whole thing with the master assistant just to make it a little bit quicker. Usually I go back constantly to the mix until this is flat, but this time I really liked how it changes the whole mix, and I left it there. The dynamics are off, maximizer is off, and dynamic EQ has small bells and actually accidental treble. What is that? And this is basically dynamic EQ that is stacking the whole mix. And finally, for mastering, we have the flat line. And for the flat line, I choose a limiter with a ceiling, and I'm not quite sure if this value is correct, but I think I achieved something around minus 11 to minus 12. And that is all actually for processing that is affecting drums. The rest is completely other stuff and doing the whole mix, some guitar work and bass work, of course. Now I talk about the processing. What I'm going to do is go back and disable all the things related to the instrument, mix, master, bass. We will hear only drum processing now. I'm going to disable it, and actually I'm gonna mute the parallel as well. I'm not quite sure if it's gonna do anything when I solo drums, but yeah, let's make sure about that. And let me bring the UI for you, and now you're gonna hear the processing I made. Let's hear it now. One small thing, guys, for the mixer, if you change the preset, mixer of course will change as well. So for example, if you use one of the artist's presets and you change the routing, and for some reason you wanted to check another sound, another drum mix from another artist there, and you just loaded that, but you had some external routing, so it's kind of completely gone because the outputs will change as well. So you need to set them again. It's not a big deal. It's a very fast thing, and now we have a mixer. So it's a completely up to you thing. For example, One Kit Wonder uses, all those One Kit Wonder series, they use stereo 1 2 for the processing bus. So if you route kick to there, you will probably do some kick processing, and it will also affect how you process the processing bus. So it's a completely different thing there. Just make sure that you start from 3/4 for One Kit Wonder products. And for this one, now if you don't want master bus, you just ditch that. You don't have to use it. Right now the track I'm using for loading Modern Massive 2 is completely off, so there is no sound coming from there, so I'm basically ditching one of the stereo tracks. It's weird, but just bear in mind that I completely forgot that. That being said, now I can close this view and turn my face to you. Thank you so much for watching the video. It was an amazing opportunity to check this GGD Modern Massive 2 library. Now we don't have contact, which almost always failed me. I have 15, 20, 25, 30 errors and shutdowns, I should say. It gave me so many headaches regardless which library I'm loading, so it's actually a contact thing, I know. Now we don't have that. We have an individual mixer. We can create our drum mixes inside. We have amazing artists. We have humanization. There are so many features with this, and I'm sorry, but I think this is going to be my new favorite drum library. I enjoyed using all the other products, One Kit Wonder Archetypes and Metal and Brutal. I didn't use New Metal yet. And most importantly, P5 Met Halpern Signature Pack, which was my main for years since it came out actually. And now the endless opportunities that I have with this plugin, drum library plugin now I guess, is actually making me very, very excited. And this was all from me. I'm Yasin. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I have a lot of videos, covers, original music, reviews, and so on. And you're gonna find some of them here on the screen. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.